Good evening, everybody. I think we're just about ready to begin, always conscious that we have to travel up to Ballycane for around 9 o'clock. You're so welcome to our service this evening. Great to see so many people here on this Good Friday. I'm not sure it's fashion sometimes to journey through Holy Week. For many people, life is busy or life is in other ways. But it's important that we come together and we remember and we retell and we journey through the way of the cross, so that as we meet on Sunday and celebrate the risen Christ, that there's a depth and a breadth and a meaning to that. So wherever you've come from this evening, you're so welcome, whether you're part of the naasunion or whether you're part of Father Liam's parish, Our Lady in stdavids or Ballycane, or from other churches in our community. You're so welcome. It's great to have you here with us. Craig is my name. I've been rector here for about 14 months. I was 6 weeks in this time last year and looking a little bit like a rabbit in a headlights. Probably still a bit like that, but at least it feels familiar now in terms of what we are about and what we are doing on this Good Friday. Everything that you need will be on the screen. So hopefully that will enable us to join in the worship in the fullest sense. And then at the end of our service, in case I forget towards the end, there's a little box at the back with some stones in it. If you take one of those, and as we carry the cross through Naas, they're to be kept in our pockets, not for firing at anyone or anything. But at the second part of this evening, there'll be an opportunity symbolically to lay the stones at the foot of the cross, symbolizing the sins that we leave at the foot of the cross that Jesus bears and takes away. So do take one of those as you leave. The service will kind of go unannounced. Thank you to those who are reading. Thank you to Anne and the choir who are singing for us. And I would say just open ourselves and embrace this evening and allow God to speak into our hearts on this Good Friday evening. So we just take a moment and then we'll join in our opening part of our service, which is our first reading. And Julia is going to come and to read for us. And I'm welcoming you all. I should have also welcomed to Justin, who's at the back. You'll see had the clerical clothes on, but Justin is a seminarian from Maryland, but studying in Rome. And he's taken a little break. So he's been with you, Father Liam, has he, at the moment, and just enjoying a little bit of downtime from the studies. So if you see Justin at the back there, do say hello to him as well and give him a lovely Céad Míle Fáilte, lovely Irish welcome as well. Justin, lovely to have you here with us. Julia, if you'd like to read us through the first part. I suppose this is a journey through seven different parts. I suppose in the Roman Catholic tradition, there's the Stations of the Cross. This is kind of a variant of that journey and through the 7 different parts of the Good Friday story.
The first reading is taken from Matthew chapter 26, verses 6 to 16. Meanwhile, Jesus was in Bethany at the home of Simon, a man who had previously had leprosy. While he was eating, a woman came in with a beautiful alabaster jar of expensive perfume and poured it over his head. The disciples were indignant when they saw this. "What a waste," they said. "It could have been sold for a high price and the money given to the poor." But Jesus, aware of this, replied, "Why criticize this woman for doing such a good thing for me? You will always have the poor among you, but you will not always have me. She has poured this perfume on me to prepare my body for burial. I tell you the truth. Whenever the good news is preached throughout the world, this woman's deed will be remembered and discussed." Then Judas Iscariot, one of the 12 disciples, went to the leading priests and asked, "How much will you pay me to betray Jesus to you?" And they gave him 30 pieces of silver. From that time on, Judas began looking for an opportunity to betray Jesus. This is the word of the Lord.
Thanks be to God. So we're going to stand and we're going to join together in our first and opening hymn. There is a green hill far away outside a city wall.
Outside a city wall, where the Reading from the Gospel according to Luke, chapter 22, verses 54 to 62. So they arrested him and led him to the high priest's home, and Peter followed at a distance. The guards lit a fire in the middle of the courtyard and sat around it, and Peter joined them there. A servant girl noticed him in the firelight and began staring at him. Finally, she said, "This man was one of Jesus' followers." But Peter denied it. "Woman," he said, "I don't even know him." After a while, someone else looked at him and said, "You must be one of them." "No, man, I'm not," Jesus retorted. About an hour later, someone else insisted, "This must be one of them, because he's a Galilean too." But Peter said, "Man, I don't know what you are talking about." And immediately, while he was still speaking, the rooster crowed. At that moment, the Lord turned and looked at Peter. Suddenly the Lord's words flashed through Peter's mind. "Before the rooster crows tomorrow morning, you will deny 3 times that you even know me." And Peter left the courtyard, weeping bitterly. This is the word of the Lord.
Thanks be to God. And again, we stand to sing How Deep the Father's Love for Us.
How deep the Father's love for us, how vast beyond all measure, that he should give his only Son to make a wretch his treasure. How great the pain of searing loss, the Father turns his face away, as wounds which mar the chosen one bring many sons to glory. Behold the man upon a cross, my sin upon his his shoulders. Ashamed, I hear my mocking voice call out among the scoffers. It was my sin that held him there until it was accomplished. His dying breath has brought me life. I know that it is finished. I will not boast in anything, no gifts, no power, no wisdom, but I will boast in Jesus Christ, his death and resurrection. What should I gain from his reward? I cannot give an answer, but this I know with all my heart: his wounds have paid my ransom. Why should I gain from his reward? I cannot give an answer, but this I know with all my heart: his wounds have paid my ransom.
Aloneness, Mark chapter 14, verses 32 to 41. They went to the olive grove called Gethsemane, and Jesus said, "Sit here while I go and pray." He took Peter, James, and John with him, and he became deeply troubled and distressed. He told them, "My soul is crushed with grief to the point of death. Stay here and keep watch with me." He went on a little farther and fell to the ground. He prayed that if it were possible, the awful hour awaiting him might pass him by. "Abba, Father," he cried out, "everything is possible for you. Please take this cup of suffering away from me. Yet I want your will to be done, not mine." Then he returned and found the disciples asleep. He said to Peter, "Simon, are you asleep? Couldn't you watch with me even 1 hour? Keep watch and pray, so that you will not give in to temptation. For the spirit is willing, but the body is weak." Then Jesus left them again and prayed the same prayer as before. When he returned to them again, he found them sleeping, for they couldn't keep their eyes open, and they didn't know what to say. When he returned to them the third time, he said, "Go ahead and sleep. Have your rest. But no, the time has come. The Son of Man is betrayed into the hands of sinners." This is the word of the Lord.
Thanks be to God. We're going to remain seated for our next hymn or song. It's called "When You Prayed Beneath the Trees." If you know it, you can sing quietly, but just allow the image and the words just to connect with us as we think about that most alone moment for Jesus, as he knows what's ahead and yet faithfully wants to do what God asks of him. When You Prayed Beneath the Trees.
it was for me, oh Lord. When you cried upon your knees, how could it be, oh Lord? When in blood and sweat and tears you dismissed your final fears. When you faced the soldiers' spears, you stood for me, oh Lord. When the triumph looked complete, it was for me, oh Lord. When it seemed like your defeat they could not see, oh Lord. When you faced the mob alone, you were silent as a storm. And a tree became your throne, you came for me, oh Lord. When you stumbled up the road, you walked for me, oh Lord. When you took your deadly load, that heavy tree, oh Lord. When they lifted you on high and they nailed you up to die. And when darkness filled the sky, it was for me, oh When you spoke with kingly power, it was for me, oh Lord. In that dread and distant hour, you made me free, oh Lord. Earth and heaven heard you shout, death and hell were put to rout. For the grave could not hold out, you are for me, oh Lord. For the grave could not hold out, you are for me, oh Lord.
Hear the Gospel according to Mark, chapter 14, beginning at verse 55. Inside, the leading priests and the entire high council were trying to find evidence against Jesus so they could put him to death. But they couldn't find any. Many false witnesses spoke against him, but they contradicted each other. Finally, some men stood up and gave this false testimony. We heard him say, I will destroy this temple made with human hands, and in 3 days I will build another, made without any human hands. But even then, they didn't get their story straight. This is the word of the Lord.
Thanks be to God. Can I invite us again to stand and sing our next hymn, Here is Love Vast as the Ocean.
Here is love, vast as the ocean, loving kindness as the flood. When the Prince of Life, our ransom, shed for us his precious blood. Who is love will not remember, who can cease to sing his praise. He can never be forgotten throughout heaven's eternal days. sea flowed a vast and gracious tide. Grace and love like mighty rivers poured incessant from above, and heaven's peace and perfect justice kissed a guilty world in love. In thy truth thou dost direct me by thy spirit through thy word, and thy grace my need is meeting as I trust in thee, my Lord. Of thy fullness thou art pouring thy great love and power on me, without measure, full and boundless, drawing out my heart to thee.
Suffering. Isaiah chapter 53, verses 1 to 5. Who has believed our message? To whom has the Lord revealed his powerful arm? My servant grew up in the Lord's presence like a tender green shoot, like a root in dry ground. There was nothing beautiful or majestic about his appearance, nothing to attract us to him. He was despised and rejected, a man of sorrows, acquainted with deepest grief. We turned our backs on him and looked the other way. He was despised, and we did not care. Yet it was our weaknesses he carried. It was our sorrows that weighed him down. And we thought his troubles were a punishment from God, a punishment for his own sins. But he was pierced for our rebellion, crushed for our sins. He was beaten so we could be whole. He was whipped so we could be healed. This is the word of the Lord.
Thanks be to God.
Crucifixion. Matthew chapter 27, verses 32 to 43. Along the way, they came across a man named Simon, who was from Cyrene. The soldiers forced him to carry Jesus' cross. And they went out to a place called Golgotha, which means place of the skull. Soldiers gave Jesus wine mixed with bitter gall, but when he had tasted it, he refused to drink it. After they nailed him to the cross, the soldiers gambled for his clothes by throwing dice. Then they sat around and kept guard as he hung there. A sign was fastened above Jesus' head, announcing the charge against him. It read, "This is Jesus, the King of the Jews." 2 revolutionaries were crucified with him, one on his right and one on his left. The people passing by shouted abuse, shaking their heads in mockery. "Look at you now," they yelled at him. "You said you were going to destroy the temple and rebuild it in 3 days. Well then, if you are the Son of God, save yourself and come down from the cross." The leading priests, the teachers of religious law, and the elders also mocked Jesus. "He saved others," they scoffed, "but he can't save himself." "So, he is the King of Israel, is he? Let him come down from the cross right now, and we will believe in him." He trusted God, so let God rescue him now if he wants him. For he said, "I am the Son of God."
Again, I invite us to stand and to join in this beautiful hymn, "When I Survey the Wondrous Cross."
When I survey the wondrous cross on which the Prince of Glory died, my snow. Love so amazing, so divine, demands my soul, my life, my all.
We take our seats for the last reading, and then at the end of the reading we'll remain seated, because it's good to remind ourselves that while it's Friday, Sunday's coming.
The reading is taken from Luke chapter 23, verses 44 to 46. By this time it was about noon, and darkness fell across the whole land until 3 o'clock. The light from the sun was gone, and suddenly the curtain in the sanctuary of the temple was torn down the middle. Then Jesus shouted, "Father, I entrust my spirit into your hands." And with those words, he breathed his last. This is the word of the Lord.
Thanks be to God.
It's Friday. Jesus is praying. Peter's asleep. Judas is betraying. But Sunday's coming. It's Friday. Pilate's struggling. The council is conspiring. The crowd is vilifying. They don't even know that Sunday's coming. It's Friday. The disciples are running like sheep without a shepherd. Mary's crying. Peter is denying. But they don't know that Sundays are coming. It's Friday. The Romans beat my Jesus. They robe him in scarlet. They crown him with thorns. But they don't know that Sunday's coming. It's Friday. See Jesus walking to Calvary. His blood dripping, his body stumbling, and his spirit's burdened. But you see, it's only Friday. Sunday's coming. It's Friday. The world's winning. People are sinning, and evil's grinning. It's Friday. The soldiers nailed my Savior's hands to the cross. They nailed my Savior's feet to the cross. And then they raised him up next to criminals. It's Friday. But let me tell you something, Sunday's coming. It's Friday. The disciples are questioning what has happened to their king. And the Pharisees are celebrating that their scheming has been achieved. But they don't know it's only Friday. Sunday's coming. It's Friday. He's hanging on the cross, feeling forsaken by his Father, left alone and dying. Can nobody save him? Oh, it's Friday, but Sunday's coming. It's Friday. The earth trembles. The sky grows dark. My King yields his spirit. It's Friday. Hope is lost. Death has won. Sin has conquered. And Satan's just laughing. It's Friday. Jesus is buried. A soldier stands guard, and a rock is rolled into place. But it's Friday. It is only Friday. Sunday is a coming.
Friday people today, but Sunday's coming. So you're welcome to come and to journey with us as we carry the cross to the Church of the Irish Martyrs, to give it its title, isn't that right, up in Ballycane, where I know they've worked and prepared the next part of our evening. If there are some would like to help us carry, that would be good. That would be great. But other than that, take care, God bless, safe home, and have a very, very joyful and happy Easter. And don't forget, if you're coming to the church, to take one of the little stones to carry with us.